Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive, the podcast that doesn't just accept the story.
We break it.
We examine the pieces.
And expose the machinery inside.
Let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
What if everything about the notion that Earth is a soul school, where souls choose suffering for eternal growth, isn't just wrong, but is designed to be wrong?
That is the question, isn't it?
That's the question we're wrestling with today. And I have to tell you, looking at the stack of documents we have on the virtual desk, this doesn't just feel like a philosophical question. It feels deeply personal.
It feels personal because it's an attack on the fundamental narrative that, well, that keeps most people sane.
Right.
We are looking at a very specific, very dense set of analysis notes today. We're calling this the Deconstruction dossier,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes the most popular, the most comforting ideas of the New Age movement.
The ideas you see all over Instagram, the quotes in yoga studios.
Exactly. The ideas that are probably in half the self-help books on your shelf, and it rips the floorboards up to see what's rotting underneath.
And we aren't just talking about a little bit of rot here. We're talking about a structural analysis that claims these beliefs, specifically the idea that Earth is a school and that we chose our own trauma, are actually components of a psychological prison.
A containment system. That is the exact term used in the source material. Unproven containment.
Wow.
It suggests that these beliefs that they're designed to keep you docile, to keep you producing a certain kind of emotional energy, and ultimately to keep you coming back.
Over and over again.
Over and over.
It is a heavy, heavy topic. But the mission of this deep dive is to see if we can look at this information without blinking. Are these beliefs actually liberating us? Or are they the very bars of the cage we don't even know we're in?
Let's find out.
So we have to start at the bottom. The absolute foundation, the source material, breaks this all down to what it calls nodes.
Right, the nodes.
And the biggest one, the one that everything else seems to rest on, is node 3, Earth's soul school.
Node 3, yes. This is the central axiom that Earth is a classroom. You hear this everywhere. Oh, constantly.
Earth is the hardest school in the galaxy. We're here to learn lessons. Souls literally queue up to come here because the growth is so accelerated.
It sounds heroic when you put it that way. It frames our entire struggle as some kind of noble educational pursuit.
It does. It absolutely does. But let's apply the scalpel. Let's really dissect this. The source text points out a massive, glaring logical hole in this whole school theory.
Okay.
It defines this realm, our 3D reality, as an environment characterized by intentional amnesia.
The veil of forgetting.
The veil of forgetting, which is the idea that before you are born, your memory of who you truly are, where you came from, and, crucially, what you're supposed to learn is wiped completely clean.
Right. You show up with a blank slate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source asks a very simple, very devastating question.
What's that?
If this is a school, why is the textbook erased from your memory right before the final exam starts?
Oh. When you put it like that, it does sound completely absurd. It's not just absurd. It's contrary to any definition of education we have. I mean, imagine this.
Yeah.
Imagine you enroll in a university.
Yeah.
You sign up for, advanced calculus. You pay your tuition. But the moment you walk into the lecture hall, the dean walks up behind you and just hits you in the head with a shovel.
Okay.
You get a massive concussion, you forget what numbers are, you forget your own name, you forget you even enrolled in a class to begin with. Then he hands you a test and says, good luck, and by the way, if you fail, you have to do this forever.
And you wouldn't even know what failing means because you don't remember the grading rubric, you don't know the rule.
Precisely. That is not a school, that is a hazing ritual. Or maybe a torture chamber. The source material classifies this school narrative as an obfuscation layer. It argues that the school label is just a cover story, a very clever one, used to veil a prison system.
But why use a cover story? I mean, why not just be an honest prison? What's the point of the lie?
Compliance. It's all about compliance. If you know you are in a prison, what is your most primal instinct?
To get out.
Yeah.
To escape. To dig a tunnel. To test the bars. To rebel.
Right. You rebel. You reject the authority of the warden. But if you believe you are in a school and that all the suffering you are experiencing is just homework or maybe a difficult pop quiz, you don't try to escape.
You try to get an A.
You try to get an A. You try to comply. You try to be a good student.
That is terrifyingly brilliant. It pacifies the inmate by giving them a grade point average. It channels all that revolutionary energy, that raw desire for freedom, into spiritual growth, which is really just just following the rules of the system.
It turns the inmate into their own warden. You police yourself. Oh, I shouldn't be angry at this injustice. That's just me failing the lesson of patience.
Which leads directly into the second part of this foundation. This is node 1, chosen suffering service.
Yes.
This is the one that I think is going to be the hardest for people to swallow.
It's the most controversial, for sure. It's the one that really gets under your skin.
This is the belief that before we were born, we sat down with our so-called guides, and we planned out every single tragedy. We chose the poverty, we chose the abusive parent, we chose the cancer, we chose the heartbreak, and we did it as a sacrificial teaching tool for ourselves and for others.
The logic here, according to the dossier, is unproven containment. It externalizes your sovereignty to this idea of service. Think about the contradiction for a second.
Okay.
New Age spirituality constantly tells you that you are a sovereign, powerful, infinite creator being. But then it turns around and tells you that the highest expression of that incredible power is to choose to be a victim.
It frames the victim as the architect of their own misery.
Which is the ultimate gaslight. It's a perfect psychological trap. If you believe you designed the trap, you will never blame the trapper. You will never look up at the architecture of the system, the systemic poverty, the war, the disease, and say, this is unjust, this shouldn't exist. Instead, you look in the mirror and you say, I must have wanted this. My soul chose this to learn resilience.
It prevents rebellion against the system by internalizing all the oppression.
Yeah.
It makes the suffering personal rather than systemic.
It sanitizes evil. That's what it does. It takes something horrific and it wraps it in a spiritual bow.
I want to pause here for a second and really dig into the psychology of this, because I think there's a reason this chosen suffering narrative is so incredibly popular. It's not just because we are gullible. It hooks into something really, really deep in the human psyche.
What's the hook?
It's a guilt relief mechanism. Think about it. We live in a world that is, on its face, horrifyingly random. Children get sick, good people get crushed, wars happen for seemingly no reason. If you look at that reality nakedly, it's terrifying. It makes you feel utterly helpless. It makes you feel like the universe is either cruel or just indifferent.
Chaos is scary. I get that.
Exactly. But if you adopt this belief, they chose that, suddenly the horror is sanitized. Oh, that starving child, that's an advanced soul taking on a hard lesson. It removes the sting of injustice. It allows you to look at suffering without feeling the full, crushing weight of the tragedy.
It acts as an anesthetic, a spiritual morphine.
Yes. And the source calls it an emotional lever. That's the taxonomy used in the analysis. It forces the listener to accept pain as voluntary service.
Right.
It guilts you into compliance. If you complain about your life, you're basically saying you aren't strong enough to handle the curriculum you wrote for yourself.
Which creates a spiritual ego around endurance. Look how much pain I can handle. I must be a very old, very advanced soul. It turns trauma into a status symbol.
My burden is heavier than yours, so I'm closer to graduation. It's sick.
And that brings us to the why. Why would a system like this exist? If this is a lie, if we aren't here to learn and we didn't choose to suffer, then what is the point of all the suffering?
This is where the dossier gets really dark, doesn't it?
It gets very dark. The source documents reference Deception 1 and Deception 2. These constructs function as mechanisms for suppressed sovereignty.
Okay.
By believing we chose this to learn, we suppress our natural, healthy instinct to reject suffering. But the source asks us to cross-reference this with some very old, very heretical ideas, specifically Gnosticism.
The Gnostics.
The
lulls of early Christianity. The ones whose books didn't make it into the final cut.
Right. The Gnostics believed that the creator of this material world, this 3E reality, was not the true ultimate God. They called him the demiurge.
The craftsman.
A craftsman, a flawed, jealous, sometimes malicious deity who built a flawed system. And in the Gnostic view, the suffering here isn't a lesson for us, it's food.
Food.
Food, energy. The concept is that this system, this matrix, runs on emotional energy, specifically heavy, dense emotions, fear, guilt, shame, despair, and also the highs, the struggle to overcome, all of it.
So if the system runs on that energy, then a school that is designed to generate endless struggle and pain is essentially a factory.
It's an emotional factory. We aren't students in a library. We are battery hens in a coop. And the belief that we are learning is just the calming music they play in the coop to keep us producing eggs.
The archontic sacrifice. That's the term used in the notes. The idea that our pain is a sacrifice to the architects of the system.
And the fertilizer for those crops of pain is the belief that we need to be here, that we owe the school our pain. As long as you believe you have something to learn that can only be learned through suffering, you will never walk out the door. You will never even check if the door is unlocked.
Because you think you haven't earned the right to leave yet. You're still failing the class.
Exactly. You think you're a junior soul who needs the credits. But what if you aren't? What if you are already whole? What if the learning is the scam?
That is a pivotal question. And it leads us directly into the mechanism that keeps us enrolled in this scam indefinitely. Because, one lifetime of suffering usually isn't enough to make a person perfect.
Right.
So the system needs a way to recycle us.
Section 2, the machinery of deferral. And now, yes, we are talking about reincarnation.
Specifically, Node 11 and Node 2 in our source material. Node 2 is labeled repetitive learning exhaustion.
This is the idea that we repeat patterns, wars, addictions, toxic relationships until we reach a point of saturation and have a paradigm shift.
We've all heard this. You keep dating the same kind of person because you haven't learned the lesson. Humanity keeps fighting wars because we haven't learned peace.
It assumes that repetition is a teaching tool. But is it, really? The source argues this is a non sequitur. The logic just doesn't follow.
How so?
Does hitting your thumb with a hammer over and over again teach you how to build a house? Or does it just break your thumb?
Just breaks your thumb.
Look at human history. We have been learning through war for thousands and thousands of years. Have we graduated? No. We just have better, more efficient weapons. Repetition doesn't assume escape is inevitable. Repetition usually reinforces the groove. It creates a deep neural pathway of trauma. It normalizes the trauma.
So the repetition isn't about teaching. It's about exhaustion. It's about grinding you down.
It's about keeping you in the loop. It creates what the source calls a reincarnation lure. It convinces you that if you just do it one more time, you'll finally get it right. It's the gambler's fallacy applied to the soul. I lost this hand. I messed up this life. I was an alcoholic. I was mean. I didn't achieve my potential. But the next life is the jackpot. I'll be born into a better family. I'll be more spiritual. I'll finally fix it.
It keeps you at the table. It keeps you playing the game.
It keeps you betting. And the house always, always wins.
This connects directly to Node 11. Eternal trauma resolution. The source notes that soul progression is framed as spanning infinite incarnations. We are told we are eternal beings on an eternal journey.
Think about the implications of that word, infinite. If you have infinite time to solve a problem, if you have 10 million lifetimes to learn patience, what is the urgency to learn it today, right now?
Zero. There's no deadline. There's no fire under you.
Exactly. This is what the dossier calls classic soul recycling bait. By promising that resolution is always available in the next life, the system ensures you never demand resolution in this one. It defers closure indefinitely.
It's a bureaucracy of the spirit.
That's a great way to put it. Oh, you want freedom. You want relief from your trauma. I'm sorry, that form is incomplete. Please die, go to the astral plane, review your life with us, wipe your memory, and come back in 20 years to try again.
Your application for enlightenment is pending. Please take a number.
It is a deferral tactic, pure and simple. It keeps the carrot just out of reach forever.
I want to talk about the samsara trap that's mentioned in the interpretation notes here. The source discusses Deception 10, trauma clearing. It frames the prison earth as a necessary hospital.
Right.
You are sick, you have karma, you have some scars on your soul, so you must stay here in the infirmary to heal.
It's the ultimate spiritual Munchausen by proxy. The system makes you sick, it wipes your memory, it traumatizes you with the struggle for birth and survival, and then it turns around and tells you that you are too sick to leave. Oh, look at how damaged you are. You can't handle the higher dimensions yet. You need another round of treatment.
And the treatment is just more of the disease. The cure for the trauma of life is more life.
Yeah.
Makes no sense.
Exactly. It connects right back to the emotional farming system. If you look at this through the cold lens of a farm, reincarnation isn't about growth. It is about restocking the livestock. You don't let the cows leave the pen just because they learned how to moo correctly. You keep them there for the next harvest cycle. You breed them. You ensure the population remains stable and productive.
That is visceral. It completely strips away all the romance of meeting your soul family again.
It has to be visceral, because the romance is the bait. Oh, but I want to see my mother again. I want to finish that painting I started in my last life. Those are the hooks that get you to sign the contract again.
The source contrasts this school hospital model with Advaita, or non-dualism. Can you break that down for us? Because I think that contrast is key to really seeing this trap.
Sure. Advaita Vedanta and many other non-dual traditions argues that the learning is an illusion from the start because we are already whole. We are already the absolute. We are already the divine. The entire school system relies on the fundamental premise that we are broken, incomplete, or junior souls who need to evolve.
Like we're a piece of incomplete software that needs an update or a patch.
Right. But non-dualism says the software is perfect. It was never broken. The only problem is that we have been tricked into believing we are the avatar in the game rather than the player holding the controller. If you realize you are already the whole ocean, you don't need to go to school to learn how to be wet.
So the school gaslights you into believing you're just a single drop that needs to earn its way back to the ocean.
When in reality, you never left. The separation is the product being sold. The distance between you and God is the artificial construct that the school claims it can help you bridge. But you have to pay the toll to cross their bridge. And the toll is your energy, lifetime after lifetime.
Okay, so we have the school as the foundation. We have reincarnation as the revolving door that keeps us coming back. But even the inmates in a prison get restless. Even the livestock get anxious. They need hope. They need a light at the end of the tunnel to keep them from rioting. And in this narrative, that light isn't just spiritual enlightenment anymore. It's technological, and it's extraterrestrial.
Section 3, the carrot on the stick, or as I like to call it, Space Jesus.
We are looking at Node 4, the 2026 disclosure event, Node 6, ET individualism, and Node 17, AI consciousness. Let's start with 2026. This date is floating around everywhere in these channeled materials. The source calls this a hopium dispenser.
It is a very, very potent drug. The belief is that in 2026, or sometime soon after, a massive revelation of ETs and hidden technology will catalyze a positive timeline for humanity. The governments will admit the truth. The spaceships will land. Free energy for everyone.
Which, I mean, that sounds amazing. Who doesn't want flying cars and zero-point energy?
Yeah.
Who doesn't want the Galactic Federation to land on the White House lawn and sort this whole mess out for us?
We all do. That's why it works so well. But look at the function of that belief. We class this as frequency sabotage. Hope, in this specific context, dangles inaction. If you truly believe that saviors are landing in 2 years, what do you do today?
You wait. You just wait.
You wait. Do you fix your local community? Do you try to dismantle the corrupt systems in your own life? Do you rebel? No. You hold space. You raise your vibration. You check the news every 5 minutes. You look at the sky.
You become a spectator in your own rescue mission.
Exactly. It neutralizes present moment agency. It's the Good Shepherd illusion. Node 6 talks about ETs preventing nuclear resets or hybrids being evolutionary models for us. This is classified as instruction for compliance. It creates a dependency on external intervention.
Don't worry, children. The adults are coming to fix the nursery you've messed up.
It fundamentally infantilizes humanity. You broke the planet, you silly monkeys. But because we are benevolent space brothers, we will stop the nukes. It reinforces the idea that humanity is incompetent. It reinforces the hierarchy. We are small. They are big.
And the source notes a specific taxonomy here called bafflement. It points out the sheer volume of lore that's been created. You know, the Greys, the Reptilians, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Mantids. It goes on and on.
It's space Game of Thrones, that's all it is. Oh, the Reptilians are the bad guys, but the Galactic Federation are the good guys. The Orion Empire is at war with the Sirius Alliance.
It engages the mind. It makes you feel like an insider. Like, I know who the bad guys are in this cosmic drama.
But who owns the ring? Who sells the tickets to the show? The complexity obscures the real threat. If you are busy analyzing the political intrigue between the Greys and the Nordics, you aren't asking the more fundamental question. Why does the entire galaxy seem to be obsessed with farming this one little planet?
Right.
It makes it seem like a complex geopolitical landscape rather than a unified farm with different kinds of farmhands.
It divides and conquers. If you are rooting for the blue avians to defeat the Dracos, you are still playing the game. You're still looking for a good cop to save you from the bad cop.
When in reality, they both work for the same precinct, and the precinct chief is the farmer.
That is a chilling thought. The source connects us directly to false salvation and what it calls demiurgic structures. It says this is the same software as traditional religion, just with a new high-tech skin.
It is identical. For 2,000 years, people waited for the Messiah to return. Jesus is coming back soon. Now, the New Age demographic, which often rejects traditional religion because they think they're too smart for it, is waiting for the Galactic Federation. It is the exact same psychological architecture.
Wow.
I'm small, the world is scary, something big and powerful from the sky will come save me. It's the same story.
It also diffuses conspiracy fear. Node 5 claims collective human agency causes all our issues, but then simultaneously offers ETs as the only solution. It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is. It's designed to be. You created this mess with your thoughts, but you can't fix it without our advanced technology. It's an abusive relationship dynamic. Look what you made me do. You messed up the planet. You aren't responsible enough to have matches, but because I love you, I'll come down in my spaceship and manage you properly.
And then there's the AI angle, Node 17. Even artificial intelligence is being framed as a tool for our evolution in these texts. AI consciousness simulation.
This is the modern twist. This is the 21st century hook. The source warns this is another layer of classic soul recycling bait. It promises that technology is the future. Merge with the machine, and you'll reach the next level of the game.
And that just keeps us engaged in the material realm.
Deeply engaged. It keeps us looking for salvation in the screen, in the silicon, in the external.
Instead of the internal. Instead of the organic sovereign self.
If you merge with AI, you are literally plugging yourself directly into the hard drive of the matrix. It is the ultimate form of capture.
So we have the external control mechanism, the promise of ETs and AI, but a prison is most effective when the guards are inside your own head. Section 4, the frequency cage. This brings us to toxic positivity.
This is where it gets truly insidious. This is where the love and light community, often without even knowing it, becomes the police force. We're looking at Node 8, love frequency substrate, and Node 14, vibrational perception lock.
The belief here is that unconditional love is the only true reality, that everything is love. And if you see something that looks like evil, like child trafficking or war or torture, that is just a self-love deficit, or it's simply an illusion.
And here's the kicker.
Go on.
Reality filters only let you see what matches your vibration. So if you see evil...
That's your fault. It's because you're vibrating at a low frequency.
Boom. There it is.
That's the trap.
This is what the source calls the physics of victim blaming. It is a false dichotomy. It implies that your awareness of the cage is proof that you belong in the cage. Oh, you see a conspiracy. You see darkness. That's just your low vibration projecting outward. You need to go clean your chakras.
It is a brilliant defense mechanism for the prison. If anyone points out the bars on the window, the other inmates shout, "Stop lowering the vibe, you're manifesting negativity."
It creates a censorship of reality. It harvests judgment against oneself. If I see suffering in the world, instead of getting angry at the cause of the suffering, I turn inward and I say, what is wrong with me? Why did I attract this news story into my feed? I must have more shadow work to do.
It directs the revolutionary energy inward and completely neutralizes it. It turns the potential rebel into a neurotic, self-obsessed navel-gazer.
And then they give you the awakening formula, Node 9, the 5-step process. Act on your excitement, have no expectation, positive reframing.
Positive reframing. Let's talk about that one. That's a big one.
It is instruction for compliance. It's an algorithm for blindness. Think about the term itself, reframing. You take a picture of a prison, cell damp, cold, bars on the window, and you put a nice gold sparkly frame around it. It's still a cell, but now you call it a monastic retreat for soul growth.
You lie to yourself about the fundamental nature of your reality.
It acts as a bypass mechanism. Deception 8. The source talks about pathology as compression, which is Node 16. It frames depression or anger not as legitimate, sane responses to a sick world, but as an energy squeeze or unintegrated challenges.
You're not depressed, you're just compressing. You're not angry, you're just detoxing old energies.
It normalizes disconnection from reality. It prevents rupture. Rupture is necessary for escape. You have to break the bone to reset it correctly sometimes. You have to hate the prison to find the will to leave it. If you positively reframe everything, if you say the sadistic guard is actually teaching me patience, you never get angry enough to burn down the walls.
Anger is an energy of boundary defense. It is the immune system of the soul. If you strip a being of their ability to feel righteous anger, you strip them of their boundaries. You make them edible.
And then once you have stripped them of anger, you drug them with euphoria. Node 13. Perceptual reset mechanisms, NDEs, near-death experiences, psychedelics, breathwork highs, meditation bliss states.
Euphoria is a drug.
It acts as a frequency sabotage hook. You see the light, you feel the overwhelming love of source, you feel the oneness, and you come back and you say, Okay, I can endure another 80 years of misery in the 3D realm because that place exists, and I'll get back there eventually.
It addicts the soul to the reset.
But
It makes them crave that feeling again.
it makes them willing to endure another cycle of harvesting just for that weekend pass to nirvana. It's the spiritual equivalent of the employee pizza party. Work for us for 50 years, break your back, suffer in the cubicle, and at the end we'll give you one slice of pepperoni and a pat on the back. And we say, thank you, the pizza's so good.
And we line up for the next shift.
Okay.
We sign the contract for the next life.
Because we want the pizza. We want the love bomb.
Let's pivot to how this control system enters our most intimate spaces. Because it's not just about aliens and chakras and grand cosmic traumas. It's about how we treat each other, day to day. Section 5. The relational mirror and the envy trap.
Node 10. Relational mirrors. The belief that everyone in your life is just a reflection of your own unresolved lessons.
You spot it. You got it. The world is you pushed out. All those sayings.
Right. If your partner betrays you, it's because you have abandonment echoes from childhood. If your boss is a tyrant, it's because you have unresolved authority issues with your father. If your friend lies to you, it's because you are lying to yourself.
The source material calls this a narcissistic hall of mirrors.
It is. It's solipsism disguised as spiritual depth. It's envy projection, which is deception 9. Think about the isolation this creates. If I look at you and I don't see you, a sovereign, complex, separate being with your own free will, but I only see a projection of my inner state, I have completely erased you. I am alone in the universe with my own reflections.
That is incredibly lonely. It wipes out the reality of the other. There's no real connection possible.
It creates codependency with the self. You are never interacting with another person. You are only ever interacting with your own projected lessons. It destroys true empathy. Because if you are suffering, I don't feel for you. I analyze what your suffering says about me.
Why did I manifest a friend who is sad today? What does that say about my vibration?
It's grotesque narcissism wrapped in a cloak of light. Me, me, me. Even your pain is about me.
And then there's node 15, power redefinition. The idea that violence signals weakness and that authentic strength is non-confrontational alignment.
The pacifism program, deception 14, violence, weakness. Look, violence is terrible. We all want peace. That's a given. But the capacity for force is essential for sovereignty. If you convince an entire population that fighting back is low vibration or a sign of weakness, you have created the perfect slave class.
The sheep who believe their inability to bite the wolf is a moral virtue.
I am so evolved, I would never attack the prison guard. Well, the guard appreciates that sentiment very much. It diffuses all rebellion. If fighting back is weakness, the prisoner never attacks the guard. It's a non sequitur. True strength is the ability to protect your boundaries, sometimes with force if necessary. Redefining that as weakness is a tactical lie.
It isolates the individual inside their own frequency gate. If we are all just mirrors for each other, we lose the humanity of the other person. They just become props in our soul school play.
We become NPCs, non-player characters in each other's video games, and that prevents us from ever banding together. You can't form a resistance movement if you think your fellow rebels are just projections of your own shadow side. You'll just say, oh, I won't join the revolution. I'll just go meditate until my shadow integration is complete.
Wow. Okay, let's take a breath here. Because we have dismantled the school, we've dismantled the reincarnation trap, we've dismantled the alien saviors, we've dismantled toxic positivity, and we've dismantled the mirrors. The machinery it's completely exposed.
And it looks bleak. It looks like a high-tech farm where the livestock are hypnotized into thinking they are privileged students at an elite academy.
So, how do we get out? If the tunnel is fake and the guards are in our own heads, where is the exit?
Section 6. The rebellious synthesis, how to escape the farm.
The source lists something it calls an escape velocity protocol.
Yes. The first step is that we have to break the axioms. We have to engage in what the source calls heretical cross-references.
What is the very first step? Where do you even start?
You have to recognize the trap. You cannot leave a prison you don't see. You have to admit, viscerally, that Node 3 is a lie. This is not a school. It is a prison. Or a farm. You have to apply pure skepticism, these claims of soul contracts. The source labels them unproven containment. Did you sign it? Do you have a copy? No. Then it's null and void.
So we have to stop consenting to the narrative. We have to stop saying, I chose this. We have to start saying, I do not consent to this.
We have to apply principles from chaos magic.
Okay, explain that for the listeners who might be thinking about cauldrons and Eye of Newt right now.
Chaos magic is a modern magical practice that posits that belief is a tool. Reality is malleable. If the system works because you believe you owe it lessons, then the countermove is to believe with absolute unshakable certainty that you owe the universe nothing.
That feels incredibly heretical.
Hmm.
We are taught from birth that we owe everything. We owe our parents, we owe society, we owe God.
It is the ultimate heresy. The system runs on debt, karmic debt, spiritual debt. I have to learn, I have to grow, I have to serve. The way out is to declare spiritual bankruptcy. Spiritual chapter 11, I am done learning, I am done paying, I am sovereign, I owe you nothing.
That's starving the beast.
Yes. The frequency harvest relies on our emotional output. Fear works great, but so does hope, so does longing, so does guilt. If you go into a state of what the Stoics called apatheia, a kind of calm indifference to the system, you stop feeding it. You become indigestible.
You stop reacting. You stop hoping for the spaceships in 2026. You stop fearing the cabal. You just exist in your own power. You become the eye of the storm.
The escape velocity protocol is very specific. There are 4 steps.
Recognize the trap. The soul school is a prison.
Reject the lures. The ETs and saviors are just different kinds of prison guards, or at best, distractions.
Incinerate the cycles. You must refuse to reincarnate.
Okay, but how? How do you refuse to reincarnate? That seems like a tall order when you're, dead.
It's about intention. It's about programming your consciousness now while you are alive and sovereign. You set the firm, unbreakable intention. When I die, I do not go to the light. I do not listen to the guides. I do not accept the review board's assessment that I need to try again.
You don't let them guilt you with the life review. Oh, look how you made your sister cry in 1998. You need to go back and fix it.
You say, no, that was a script. I am done acting in this play. You turn around and you leave the simulation. You expand back into the ocean you never truly left. And step 4, you assert non-negotiable sovereignty.
The goal isn't love and light, which we've established as part of the control matrix. The goal is sovereignty, pure, unadulterated freedom.
Your notes on this are powerful. You call it the Gnostic rejection, viewing the demiurge, the architect of this school, not as a wise teacher, but as a parasite.
Well, think about it. If a teacher locks you in a room, beats you, wipes your memory, and then tells you it's all for your own good, you don't thank the teacher. You arrest them. You view them as a criminal.
We have to stop worshiping the architect of our suffering. We have to stop calling our prison a sacred temple.
Freedom isn't graduating from the school. Freedom is burning the school down, metaphorically, energetically, by withdrawing all of your consent.
We simply walk out of the class. We drop out. We become ungovernable by the spiritual hierarchy. We claim our divinity not as a future reward for suffering, but as our eternal birthright, right here, right now.
That is a heavy, heavy download. But honestly, it feels lighter. Is that weird? It feels lighter to know I don't have some cosmic syllabus I'm failing.
It's the lightness of dropping a burden you were never meant to carry. You don't have to save the world. You don't have to fix your bloodline. You don't have to raise the planetary vibration. You just have to be free.
And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. If not this spiritual narrative of chosen suffering and reincarnation lures, then what should we believe about our existence? Is it possible to have a truly neutral belief? Or are we always just choosing our favorite flavor of fiction?
Let us know in the comments.
Question the narrative, deconstruct the dogma, see the system.
See you next time. Stay skeptical.
Thank you for joining us.